Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live Boldly with Sarah. Today, I have on Joe with us again. Welcome to the pod, Joe.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back, right? So, today we're going to be talking about midlife. I have a lot of people that are asking me about how to find happiness midlife and what is it to reclaim your life after you've gone through very difficult, hard times, and how do you do that? The one thing that I don't address very much on this podcast, for whatever reason, is the midlife male. And so we're sitting down here talking about just life in general. You're coming up on your birthday pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what a better person to talk about midlife as a male than you. So can we dive into this subject, please?
Absolutely.
First of all, I have a question for you. You're very different today than you were when I met you, well, obviously when I was 12, but also in high school. We reconnected after 32 years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really found intriguing about you, first of all, was how you were taking on your midlife and how you were making choices to do the quote deep work and become better outside of the things that you had also walked through. What I want to know is what was your what was the point for you where you were like, I want better than what I have been experiencing? In other words, I want more happiness. I want more fulfillment. I want more, because for me, as a midlife woman at 51, I know that I had my moment where I was just like, I'm not going to keep sitting in this space that I'm in. I want better than where I have been in my life. I want to adventure. Uh, I don't want to feel the pain and the sadness anymore. And I want to change where I've been. I want to change how I'm looking at life, how I'm experiencing life. And I know that it starts with me.
Right.
So when you do the inner work, you obviously it creates this whole outer space that's so much better as well. What was the deciding point for you? Did you have one?
Such an easy question.
Oh, okay.
My own experience would be life happened, reflection, thinking of where I wanted to be, and knowing that I had to make changes. That if I was going to continue down the same path and I was looking for more happiness, better interactions with people, family, kids, that I had to change how I was to get it to be different. I think when we're younger and we got so much on our plate and we're, starting on our first jobs, starting that new family, whatever it may be, we get so lost in putting in all the work and not enjoying the journey. And then as I got older, and especially at work really helped me a lot through my personal life too, by using the people, the friends, the colleagues, my interactions with them, like books I've read and putting things into practice and seeing the results and how rewarding that was, that people that used to have these difficult relationships with, just listening to them and changing how you approach them and treating them like how you want to be treated, it started to change everything.
So what was it that you did? Can you give us some good tools? I mean, for me, when I was going through this, I guess it was started 11, 12 years ago. One of the things that I did was I found a therapist
Mhm.
and I found a support group and I went into the mountains and I hiked and I went paddling on the ocean and I noticed the changes that were happening within me and I noticed the changes that were happening around me as well. And then I started making some really big decisions like I'm going to sell my house and 95% of my stuff and I'm going to move across the street and I'm going to make sure that I'm implementing what I'm learning within my kids' lives as well, because I wanted better for them too. So there were a lot of tools that I did, right? Like I said, getting the therapist, going into the support group, reading the books, making some real noticeable pattern changes, making sure that I wasn't going down the same road that I was in. Also noticing what I was doing that wasn't healthy. Like at that time in my life, I drank wine at night. I'm going to state it. Everybody knows that. I mean, I talk about that pretty openly. And I
Yeah.
noticed how that wasn't contributing to my health. And so then I decided to stop doing that. So, what are the things that you did the choices that you made?
Drinking was one of them. That was my go-to after working hard and giving everything to everybody else. And how I always talk about leftovers.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
this good. You got to tell everybody
yeah,
about this. What's the leftovers?
the leftovers. I think so many relationships fail or lose the love and passion because we give so much to our jobs and everything else out there, and when we come home to the most important people, we just give them whatever's left over.
Mm.
And that's not fair to them or yourself because those are the people you should have the most for, or at least save that energy for, make sure, because that's the most important. And so, and just putting people first, not like if you're going to come home and drink and blame the world for your problems, you're just going to, believe me, you're just going to bring more upon yourself.
Mm.
um it's just wanting that change. And unfortunately, I know a lot of, I just didn't never believed in therapists. Like I was too proud, or being a midlife man. I think a lot of times the pressures of being a man and no therapy and don't cry, don't be vulnerable, makes a lot of men suffer in silence. I think I heard that on one of the Joe Rogan podcast, suffering in silence. And so what I did is I started reading books and listening to motivational speeches because I drove a lot for my job. And those changed me to hear successful people and inspirational quotes. And Sean Whalen, a book that I've listened to and have read several times. I give it away as a gift. How to Get Shit Done,
Mm.
where I could just relate as a man, like this kind of macho man that had it all, but still wasn't happiness, and he let work overtake his life, and then he made a switch and quit having a pity party, quit blaming other people. If you put in the work and you're consistent and you're putting out what you want to see, it starts to come to you. And I think that book and those speeches, I just started to feel it when I was around people. I didn't let things bother me as much, and it attracted so much. And I believe that attracted you as well.
Aw. The power of manifestation. Do you believe in manifestation?
I do.
Yeah.
That's the other book I gave it to you. I give as a gift is As Man Thinketh. It's really short, but basically you hear it a lot. You are what you think, or you think you can, or you think you can't. You're right. That's in one of our buildings at Dave Jones where I work.
Yeah.
I just love that stuff because you always say it's common sense, but not common practice. It's like we need these, and that's that whole discipline and consistency. You need to remember those things that are so easy because it doesn't have to be a lot of work to see a big change.
I think where we grew up, that we both went through that with therapists and not believing in therapists, and you got to take care of your own stuff or you push it under the rug or whatever it is. And it's interesting how, and this is where I want to remind people too, therapy comes in many forms. It's you can therapy can come in the form of being in a support group. It can come in the form of going to a coach. It can come in the form of going outside and going for a walk. That's very therapeutic. There's so reading books, listening to podcasts. That's why I was asking about different things that you did. So you listened to podcasts, you read books, you paid attention to your own thoughts, to your own actions, to what was harming you versus helping you.
Yeah.
And you paid attention to changing relationships around you, as well as, most importantly, the relationship within yourself. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And the
Dang.
motivational speeches was a big one. It was on an Apple playlist. And I think the other part that helped is when I saw the results and I saw other people, I shared it with as many people, especially at work. They would all tell you, like, I would send them the whole motivational playlist that I listened to. I said, listen to it every morning, when things are tough, and just have it started better conversations. And I'd almost say I spend less time with some of my colleagues now, but the time I'm with them, because of those changes and the conversations we have, it's more impactful.
So it's changed your work. It's
Oh,
changed
yeah.
your career.
Yeah. Work, yeah, work, personal, all of it.
Do you think that a lot of men look at going through this change or doing the personal development as too foo-foo or too like, what is your thought on that?
Yeah, I think men, I mean, it's hard for everybody, but just being vulnerable and honest and listening to the other person, how they feel. We talk about a lot. No matter if you agree with that person or not, don't try to interrupt them or defend yourself. That's how they feel at that moment. So when you try to understand the person and put yourself in their shoes and listen to it, it kind of, I mean, try it sometime in a conversation when somebody's really heated. Just listen and shake your head and agree with them. I said, I understand, and just keep listening. You'll watch them. They'll
Diffuse.
just start to diffuse. But if you interject and you just go, well, but you don't, and you did this, you're just gonna, fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
I mean,
The defense mechanism
yeah.
comes up. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's ego and pride, just people afraid to be. I think that's how traditionally society was, but it's transitioning now that it's, hide your feelings, stick it out. The other thing is, like, don't stand up for yourself. You made a commitment and you're being treated like crap. You It's a commitment. You got to just stick with it and deal with it. That's what you do.
That's the old school way of how it
Yeah.
was, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's not healthy for anybody.
No, no, it's not. It's not. It's far more helpful to have. I think the one thing that we do have is really good conversation. Like we know how to communicate. We know how it's something that we've really worked on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And being able to express ourselves in a way that's safe and meaningful and also listening to the other person so that our line of communication is healthy. What's interesting in this whole conversation with you though is I don't think that either one of us would have come together had we not done the personal work
Mm-hmm.
Individually,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So that we could actually meet and come together. That's why I think it's so interesting, the whole midlife male scenario, because I know a lot of men in their midlife that are not entirely happy. And I know a lot of females too.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to relationships, though, in my dating world, I had a really hard time because there were so many men that where I would go on dates with or whatever it was, and they didn't want to do the deep work. Like they didn't want to, it was too much for them, or they were afraid, or whatever it was, or maybe they were filled with shame over certain things. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, though, is had you not done that work as a midlife male, I just really believe that this wouldn't have happened.
Oh, right. And then I was just thinking about that too, listening to you about that and people not wanting to put in the work and they get married, they get divorced, they get married again, or some people get, married and divorced several times because they just keep repeating the process.
Mm-hmm.
They don't change who
Keep
they are.
repeating the process. Ooh.
And they blame others. And, one of our favorite songs that always says, if you don't like what you see on the outside, take a look on the inside. If you find yourself all by yourself and nobody wants to be around you, I mean, do a check, start asking people, tell them, I'm sorry, help me understand. I mean, that's the other thing, just asking for help. So many people don't want to ask for help because they see it as a weakness. And traditionally, as a male, especially.
Yeah. And not only asking for help, but asking on where do you see my blind spots? Where can I become better?
Yeah.
And I think we've done the beautiful thing about this is that I can ask you that and you can give it to me. Yeah. The same goes for if you're dealing with something like that as well. Like, where can I do better in this? Mm-hmm. One of my former clients, they do a check on their relationship at the end of every week. What's the good thing from the week within the relationship? What do you see as like the good thing? Where can I improve? And where can we improve together?
Right.
Where's the good between us? It's a good thing we haven't done that, but I don't know, maybe we should start. I kind of think that we do in our own way. We do in our own way.
Yeah, but I mean, we're dealing with everything that everybody else does. Like just recently, that thing where we almost like didn't plan our trip to get together.
Yeah.
And then I explained how it wasn't even about a football game and stuff like that. It was about us making sure that we didn't put ourselves aside for the leftovers, that we do so much stuff and we're so busy and we get so tired. But all of a sudden we were finding ourselves like, well, maybe it's just too much trouble. And we were going to put off something we planned on doing, um, so we could fit everything else in. And I was glad we had the conversation and we're like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
And
that's
here
not
we
okay.
are.
We
And
need to do that. Yeah.
were you coming off of no sleep for over 24 hours?
We
And
are right now, by the way. We
look
did
how
take a
happy we
nap.
are.
We did take a nap. We did take a nap
Yeah, sure.
because a short nap because they're like, we did that. And that was this weekend. You weren't going to come out to help me with something that I had to do. And I was like, oh, it's just too much. Don't worry about it. I'll just fly back and I'll see you over your birthday.
Mhm.
And then we were like, wait a second. No, this isn't okay. Because
Right.
we're constantly putting, and we have constantly in our life, based on society, based on our family, whatever, put everybody else beforehand, before us. And I know that the reason that this relationship also works is because we continuously do self checks and checks together to make sure that we are putting ourselves and us first as well,
Yeah.
because we want this to work.
It's a two-way street. You got to listen to each other. And if one side isn't willing to and doesn't want to have the conversations, it's a tough thing to get through or handle. So you gotta, I mean, whatever you're looking for, I mean, put that out there. And a partner, a friend, your kids, um, put out the energy you're looking for. You're not going to get it by giving negative energy, you know.
Yep. So one of the things that I wanted to go through was the 6 reasons that doing the midlife work, the 6 ways that it helps us within our life. One of the things, as a little pivot really quick, one of the things that I often talk about is when I die at, I'm going to say 108, because I feel like that's when I'm going to actually leave this earth. One of the things that I don't want to do is to take my last breath and wish that I had lived more. I don't want to regret not doing things, especially because the first half of my life was kind of hard. And so I want the second half to be really beautiful and amazing. And so by doing this deep work, here are 6 things that, grab your journals, that you can write down reasons that to do this deep work. The first thing is we are all going to be facing transition and change at some point. Doesn't matter. Some people look at every decade as a transition or a change. Some people look at it when you move, when you have marriages and then kids and different parts of your life. Doing the deep work will allow you to face that transition and that change that much easier. Is there anything that you want to say on that?
Yeah, you're always going to face change.
Always.
And you can either adapt to it or you can get angry and fight it and resent it. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing with the midlife crisis. I think people buy the things that they dreamed about or whatever. And I think the problem with that too, the midlife purchases of a car or whatever, is they don't do the work on everything else. So even though they got that and they should, they don't change their personal life. And I think it's important to have relationships for as humans. And so that's my little take on that.
If you're going to buy the motorcycle that you've wanted so badly, why not drive the motorcycle with a happy, healthy attitude?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just driving a motorcycle and you're not really appreciating the journey on that motorcycle.
Right.
Yes. The second thing, it addresses unresolved issues that you may have from family life, from work, from patterns of behavior within generations that have come before you. I know in my own life that by doing this deep work, I also have addressed a lot of the things within my family, right? Like growing up, different things that happened and the ways that we were taught within because of growing up in the Midwest. And it's been huge for me. I can look at the different things that my mom did where I was like, God, why wasn't she more happy in this area of her life? And for me, doing this deep work has allowed me to find the areas of happiness where she ultimately didn't because of generations of, ways of doing things. Maybe it was the age, whatever. Anything you want to tap on with that or add into?
No, I completely agree with that one because I was just thinking about that as you're saying. I think a lot of times people, if they're fortunate enough to be able to make those positive changes, it's because They've watched their parents, their grandparents, relatives, people that have passed now. And they look back as we get older, we see it so clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should have did those things they wanted to. Or they didn't put in the change or work to get that happiness, and then you pass,
Then it's just like you're gone.
and they kind of, on your last breath, you have that resentment. And I think the benefit from older generations is you learn from that. If you become aware of it and you start to see that can help you make changes a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the third thing, reclaiming authenticity. You've done a really good job of this, by the way.
Thank you.
I just want to state that. He's like, really? So, doing this deep work or really paying attention to what brings you happiness, what brings you joy. We had to do this. I went to an Impact 11 event last week. It was a masterclass. And Ryan Estes had us, I think it was Ryan Estes, I think it was him or Josh. One of them had us write down all the things that bring us joy, to just sit there and to journal about what are the things that bring us joy. We forget what it is to be authentic in our own life because there's so much noise on the outside. And so by sitting down and doing this one exercise, what brings you joy? What makes you happy? And really reclaiming that authentic side of you, it allows you to be who you were intended to become all along.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done such a good job on this. Because for you, like I watched you in the mountains a couple of weeks ago when we did the Sierra High Route together, and I was watching you, and it just brought me so much joy to see you so happy and authentically who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add to that?
Oh, yeah. When you can let go of ego and pride and have the conversations and be vulnerable, and you get in a good place, everything falls in place. And in nature's, for both of us, nature is a huge one. It just allows you to reset and reflect. When you talk about the things that bring you joy, I mean, that's just like another thing of, writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day. It makes you reflect on the good things that are in your life instead of everything being focused on what's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
They always say nobody remembers the 1,000 things you do right. It's the one thing you did wrong, right? And I think that's important. Like I do these things at work again, and our workplace has a phenomenal culture. We really, I mean, the transition I've gone through in the company as well during that time is amazing. Now, when I send this punch list item or the workmanship report, and most guys just would get so mad that like, hey, on this job you did this, just be aware of it. Hey, you had a leak or a mistake on this job. Now, when I convey those messages, I say, hey, nice work. You only had 1 or 2 workmanship issues. Review it with your crew people, but that means you're doing thousands of things right. I really appreciate what you do. If you have any questions or concerns, please call or email anytime. And that has really changed the dynamic with those people instead of them just looking at, thanks. Thanks for letting me know what I did wrong.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really good thing to be doing in every relationship, parenting, friendships, with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Hear all the things that you've done right.
Yeah.
And
partnerships, right?
Partnerships.
How many times have we said, yeah, but you did this? Remember, holding on to those things instead of like, wow, they did all these things. Of course, they're human and going to have.
We talk about that because I know when you came out, I was exhausted. I was so tired. I picked him up from the airport and I was maybe in a little bit of a grumpy mood. And I remember you kind of looking at me like, really? Like, I don't want leftovers.
Yeah, I don't want leftovers.
And I don't want leftovers. and then you know what you did? You did say, and you've done this with me many, many times. You're like, wait a second, take that pause principle. All the things that you have been doing to really help to make this relationship work.
Right.
And the phone calls late at night, the FaceTimes, the check-ins, just all of it, because we're very long distance. You live in Wisconsin, I'm in California, and we're making it work.
Yeah.
So, okay. The fourth thing, doing that deep work, it helps with your physical and mental health. And I'm going to add your emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
It helps all spiritual health. It helps all the way around, because stagnation, you can't grow. And I know one of the things that you and I have both had to do a lot of work on is our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual as well,
Hmm.
health, going through some really dark, dark times. I always say, Dr. Edith Eger, one of my favorite quotes that she says, we all walk through the valley of darkness at some point in our life. Do not set up camp there. So you got to get up. You got to, pick up your backpack
Hmm.
and you got to keep walking through.
Yeah. Nothing like a good cry.
There's nothing like a good cry.
So all you men out there, bawl your eyes out.
I love it. I love it. It's so true. The fifth thing, it helps with deepening your own relationship with your internal self, but then also the relationships around you. And you've already mentioned, you've tapped onto that, into
Hmm.
that quite a bit.
Yeah.
The relationships in both work, business, personal, family life, friendships, all the way around.
Yeah.
When you can understand yourself better, it helps to understand others.
Yeah.
There's that mirror principle as well. You know, when you can understand your own faults and your strengths, you can sit in a mirrored relationship and understand others more deeply as well.
Yeah. In your line of work and mine too, and throughout the years, most of these books and, building strong teams and stuff, they focus so much on what you're doing for a living, your career, your work. But it's nice to see it like most of the speakers now and the books are touching use this in your personal life, especially too. This isn't just turn off the switch, like we said, give it all to work and give your family and loved ones the leftovers. It's nice that how all this stuff is transitioned to speak of, use this in your personal life, especially.
Have you become a better leader because of that?
I feel I have.
I will
I
tell
just
you.
recently got a little review. It said I did, I guess.
I will tell you that you have. You have big time, big time. Not only, I think, well, not only with work, but and also
Hmm.
just a leader in the world.
Yeah. I think listening to people and being able to help them and build their confidence. I mean, that's what it's all about is just relationships. Like life is too short to put out bad energy, you know, want to
Yeah.
help each other, listen to each other. And when we listen to each other, then we can help each other.
Yeah. And the sixth thing is redefining success and purpose. This is a really good exercise. When I say redefining success and purpose, what is success to you? What is your purpose today? And when I look at what I deemed a success or purpose even 10, 15 years ago, it was very different than it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody looks at a word and they define it differently based on who they are and where they're at in their life. And so by doing this work, by doing the personal work, by growing, by reading the books, by listening to the podcast, by doing all the things and really paying attention to your patterns, your behaviors, your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
your actions, you redefine success and purpose and what it is for you today.
Right. But I think that's different for everybody. But I think so many people put it on a monetary and material part of it. And I think there's a lot of people, I know there's a lot of people out there that have all the money in the world and all this stuff they could possibly want, and they're still not happy. And I choose that happiness and the good relationships over anything. Other stuff you can always get more of or acquire somehow. But coming back to a lonely house or, amazing property overlooking water or something all by yourself and not being able to share that with people, that's a tough one for me.
It's a tough one for me too. Definitely. It's not about the quantity of the people around you, it's the quality in
Mm-hmm.
every way clients, teams, relationships, all of it, friendships. All right. Is there anything that you would like to add?
We'll go back to my very first podcast with you. Take a chance to make a choice to make a change.
I love that one so much. I
And
love
I
that one so
think
much.
that's as simple as it is. People just don't overthink it.
I
You
love
know,
that one so much.
choose happy, choose kind, um, put out the energy that you want in return.
All right, let's go through the list really quick so you guys can make sure that all of you have it written down. The reason to do this, number one, facing transition and change, it helps with it. Number two, addresses unresolved issues. Number three, reclaims your authenticity, allows you to reclaim your authenticity. Number four, it helps with your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. Number five, deepens relationships. Number one, the number one most important relationship that you can have is that one with yourself, and it helps to deepen that relationship first and foremost, and then deepening the relationships with others. And number six, you redefine what success and purpose is for you. So please share this podcast episode with your friends, with your family members, those people within your work, your teams, and put it out into social media. Tag me. I will gladly, I love resharing all of the posts that people, when they do share. And then most importantly, if you could go and subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, that helps this to grow. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Joe for joining me one more time.
Thank you.
It's fun having you on.
It's kind of fun and intimidating.
Intimidating, is it?
Yeah. Oh, but the one thing I don't think we hit on maybe a little was health. I feel like you and I,
Yeah.
I mean, you've always been in great shape, but like being in a good place helps you health wise too.
Your physical. We touched on
Yes.
physical health.
Yes.
Helps with your physical, your mental.
Healthy. I was going to say the healthy part.
The
Healthy mind, healthy body.
Yes, healthy mind, healthy body. Yes. I think that the coolest thing for us is we've up-leveled one another in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the adventures that we've started to go on. We have been going on since we met. We've done a lot, and we just got off this year a high route for 13 days.
Yeah. 12 nights, 13 days.
Yep. Navigating through, there was no trail. It was all waypointing, navigating through the top peaks of the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. And it was epic.
Mm-hmm.
To share that with you was epic. That was one of the coolest things I've done in my lifetime.
Me too, by far.
So
that was amazing.
It was really cool. So that's what happens. All right. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. And if there's anything that you would like us to touch on, please send me an email, sarah@sarahschultencrans.com, or just drop into my DMs and let me know what it is that you would like us to talk on. And I will gladly have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Have a great day, everyone.